Hello and a very good morning. I won't be talking much in the stream because it is ridiculously early in the morning, but welcome to the stream. And today myself is going to be live streaming the launch of the Soyuz MS-17 to the International Space Station. Liftoff is coming in about 30 minutes. They've already done the schedule of going on the bus from their housing blocks to the spacecraft. They are in the spacecraft now. That's what the white thing is. Within that will later obviously do the fairing deployment, like you maybe see on the Starlink. So there we go. There's some facts about the Soyuz spacecraft. Of course, the escape tower is at the top, and of course that's the Soyuz MS spacecraft right at the top near the fairing. You've got the full tank, the oxygen tank, and the cruise engine. There you're seeing an example of what the launch would look like in person for today. So a very good morning to you. For those who are tuning in at this ridiculous time, again, the launch today will be in 11 minutes 47 seconds. So some facts there, of course, that the crew actually get to choose what zero gravity indicator they would like to choose to bring on the mission. That's the little floating sort of figures that they get to take on board them, like that on the screen. Great creation, actually. So yeah, at the moment, obviously, the astronauts at the moment are in the spacecraft, just running through some quick checks before liftoff. And as well, what you may have seen on some of the past Soyuz launches is that the astronauts get to listen to some of their chosen songs before liftoff as sort of just a nice thing, really, for the astronauts. And Kate Rubings, the one on the left on that picture, is got her birthday today, which is very strange, actually. That's going into space on your birthday. So happy birthday to her. So some of the events that are going to be going on today. Obviously, just coming up to about an hour ago, the International Space Station Expedition 64 Soyuz MS-14 launch coverage started. Rubins, Voskov, and Zvenchkov includes, of course, some of the crew launch day pre-activities. It's obviously happened. And of course, just coming up in about, we're saying, in about 3 hours' time, so roughly about 9 o'clock GMT time, you will see the spacecraft dock to the International Space Station. I won't be able to stream that. However, there is also coverage on NASA, which is where I'm getting today's launch information from. But a very warm welcome to the stream this morning. I hope you are all doing well. Thanks so much for those who have joined the stream this morning, even though it is ridiculously early in the morning. So they're now going to NASA's Public Affairs Officer. So potentially, you may be able to hear this. If not, then that's completely understandable. Why that's probably not doing that. But yeah, he's just saying at the moment, it's very normal for them, for those astronauts going today, is that mainly they do have to wear face masks anyway, even though we are in a global pandemic. They have to social distance and isolate for a particular amount of time before launch into space. This probably does have a knock-on effect now because, well, mainly, obviously at the moment, the Crew 1 launch of the first 4 astronauts launch via Crew Dragon has been delayed to no earlier than mid-November, so we could be seeing a Christmas launch of that. And that was mainly to do with the mechanical fault in the Falcon 9's MD engine, 1D engine. So T-minus 7 minutes till the launch of the Soyuz MS-17. It's going to be a great launch today, guys. Thanks so much for those who are joining in just as it approaches 7 o'clock. A very good morning. Do make sure, if you do obviously have a YouTube account, make sure to go like, subscribe, and press the bell icon to be notified every time I upload. And as well, it'd be great if you could also just drop a comment just to say hello. That'd be much appreciated as well. So again, a very good morning to you. 6 minutes now till launch of Soyuz MS-17 to the International Space Station. And there's been an actual key inserted to the actual bunker of where it's mainly just a secret bunker, and that is now started the clock countdown. It's already been started before, but this is the part where they sort of allow launch to happen. As you can see, I believe the one on the right over there in the distance as you can see on the picture now there, they are of course the 2 cosmonauts, and then obviously it's cleared off now, but the one that was out of the camera is of course the person herself, Kate Rubins. So 5 minutes to launch of Soyuz MS-17. Hello for those who are just joining us. A very good morning to those who are actually joining in. So the crew are now closing their helmets, putting them onto oxygen mode, where oxygen is fully flowing in that helmet of their spacecraft suit, basically. And obviously at the moment now, we are approaching about 4.5 minutes for launch. And of course, when this launches, there will be multiple separations, as you may see on a Falcon 9 rocket. Only that this time, because of course there is no SpaceX involved, there is no NASA involved in this. Well, there is, because there's a NASA astronaut following on this MS-17 Soyuz launch. However, though there is no SpaceX involved, that doesn't necessarily mean then that, of course, that doesn't necessarily mean that, again, it doesn't necessarily mean that these rockets are going to be reused. They will just fall into the water or onto the ground, and they will not be used again on a Soyuz launch. So this could potentially be the last time that American astronauts are actually flown on the Soyuz spacecraft, and could be just transferring to the use of the Dragon spacecraft. Now, we know that when the space station obviously goes out of service, the Roscosmos is the Russian Space Agency. They could be using the International Space Station, so they could probably, what might happen is they may potentially just bring down, their obviously module, the Russian module, and bring up a new one to start a new space station for them. Just approaching now 2.5 minutes to launch of Soyuz MS-17. For those who have just joined, hello. Maybe if you could subscribe, press the bell icon to be notified every time I upload, because we're doing a lot of more streams of these, because there is quite a more important launches in the upcoming days. Of course, on October 20th, so 6 days' time, there will be the departure of Chris Cassidy and Yvonne Wagner, and as well Frysakov. They will be departing the International Space Station after a 6-month stay on that. So that is October 21st. The International Space Station Expedition 63 farewells and Soyuz MS-16 hatch close coverage. So we're now approaching 1 minute till liftoff. Hello for those who have just joined. Hello, if you could just drop a comment, just say hi, be much appreciated. And of course, if you are just on right now, don't go anywhere, because the launch is happening in literally 1.5 minutes for one of the biggest launches I've definitely put on my streams. So very good morning, and thank you very much for tuning in at 6:45 this morning. I'll tell you now, I won't be able to wake up this time. It's coming up to about a minute to launch now, so obviously you will see a difference between what the SpaceX Falcon 9 Starlink would do, or just any Falcon 9 for SpaceX. You'll see a very, very big difference between these spacecraft. On its go now for Soyuz spacecraft. The liftoff from the Baikonur Cosmodrome carrying Kate Rubins, Ryzhkov, and Savenchko. So the Soyuz takes a consider. There we go. That's separated now. So now this is what you may have seen from maybe launches, from maybe the British astronaut Tim Peake that went up into space. And this is the part where they're very close to launch now. You'll now hear the countdown. So that's separating. And there we go. Now you can see the engines light up. Oh, there we go, and lift off. So there we go. Amazing moment. And you just see that Soyuz spacecraft lift from that launch. Very, very big difference between the sound of a Soyuz and a Falcon 9. You get more of a rumbling sound with the Falcon 9 compared to what you may see. Good first stage performance. And of course, now this is now launch of the International Space Station Expedition 64 with Soyuz MS-17 hatch, of course, liftoff of Kate Rubins, Sergei Ryzhikov and Sergei Savchenko to the International Space Station. And this has been 20 years of continued space travel to the International Space Station. And there we go, you can sort of see that trail now leaving as maybe what you might have seen on maybe of, well, just a general, maybe even space shuttle mission. So there, I believe, is Kate Rubins talking on the radio, saying she and the crew are feeling G-force, which is obvious because they're accelerating at very fast time and speed. There goes Jettison, and there we go. That is the first, I believe, the first stage cut-off. So there we go, there's some view for the cockpit. There we go, that is the first view of the Soyuz spacecraft from space. Again, they're not in zero G at the moment. Obviously, that is a very thin atmosphere you're seeing, and that atmosphere will generally get thinner due to climate change. That's mainly what they're saying. Good course on the crew there. So Kate Rubins speaking on behalf of the crew, saying that we feel absolutely well. So that is great news for them all. And they are clearly on their way to the International Space Station. For those who are just tuning in, a very good morning. 20 minutes of the stream just started. And today we are, well, myself is going to be streaming the Expedition 64 launch to the International Space Station, which is obviously 20 years of continued spaceflight into space. So, of course, you just hear the sort of commentator in a way say that the Soyuz uses a particular technique when lifting off. Obviously, there is some great videos actually of some behind the scenes of a Soyuz launch, which I'd really recommend you guys having a look at. It is really good actually. Watched it myself. Four minutes. Oh, and there we go. We sort of just saw a bit of a cutout in the picture there. There we go. We have the initiation. We have. So there we go, that is what the spacecraft looks at the moment. Now, all we have to do is just go through one more stage and they will be in space. So at the moment, we believe that they're around 200 kilometers above the Earth, we're saying at the moment. It's not quite sure whether that is true at the moment. because it's all written in Russian, and that is a great fact about the Soyuz spacecraft, that actually all the crew have to learn Russian because it is a Russian-programmed spacecraft. Everything is written in Russian, everything is spoken in Russian in the spacecraft. So the Russians are extremely lucky, but if they were to ever fly on the Crew Dragon, then they would be unlucky. They would have to properly learn English. So it is a bit unfair for the American, Japanese, whatever nationals, basically every astronaut except Russian. 2 minutes left till the crew is officially in space. So there you go, at the 8 minute mark, we are going to be looking for the third stage cutoff. That is where the spacecraft obviously is only itself now. 400 seconds to the third stage separation. So there we go, that's what the spacecraft looked like, and as you can probably see via my little mouse, that is where it's going to be. Obviously that sort of bit there, that silver looking bit, and the one just up there, sort of closer to Earth, is going to be separated, which leaves the Soyuz spacecraft on its own in orbit. So it's going to be that part there that will separate even the boosters, and it will only leave that. And of course there's the solar panels, if you like to call them that, separate and spread out. And that's sort of how the spacecraft uses energy, is probably what we've seen on the spacecraft of Crew Dragon. Forty-five seconds left of a call before the thrusters obviously start to separate from the spacecraft. So you may hear a countdown, maybe not. Standing by for the separation, and that really does leave the astronauts in space. There we go, and that's separation. We're just waiting for the confirmation of 0G. So without those sort of solar panels, the spacecraft wouldn't actually be able to power itself to the International Space Station, and that's really key. It generates energy literally just having that on top of your house as well. Waiting for that confirmation of the actual 0G. So that's the looking from the mission control in Moscow. So I believe we are still waiting for confirmation to whether they are actually still in space. So there we go. They are officially in space now and are on the way to the International Space Station. It will be about 4 hours now till they actually dock to the International Space Station. So there we go anyway. So very good morning. Obviously mistakenly set my alarm for 6 this morning. Ugh. See, that's my constant alarms going off this morning, so bear with me, guys. But yeah, 7 o'clock now. Good morning, everyone. Yep, and welcome to the main stream this morning. So yeah, hello. But yeah, obviously when most of the main stuff is over, I will start ending this stream because there is nothing more important now or in the upcoming 5 minutes. There is nothing important for the next couple of hours before docking to the space station. There is a big difference between the Dragon spacecraft and the Soyuz spacecraft. The Dragon spacecraft takes 19 hours from launch to dock to the space station and get on board. It takes 19 hours, whilst a Soyuz spacecraft takes a considerably less amount of time. It takes 4 hours 5 hours at the max. And that is why they have to launch at a specific time. NASA and SpaceX just depend on the weather. It just depends on the window for. So I don't know what was going on there. I was listening a sec. Okay, so they're doing pressuring checks. They're just doing checks now that they have to do at the beginning of the launch. Otherwise, they don't know whether the spacecraft has had a major cabin depressurization, and hopefully the astronauts will have to. These particular astronauts, Kate Rubin, Sergei Ryzhkov, and Sergei Zvenchikov, will have to also carry out major check leaks on the space station. This is because in the recent couple of years, they've had to monitor a small leak in the space station. This has had to mean that the current Expedition 63, Chris Cassidy, Yvonne Wagner, and I can never remember the other guy's name, but they have had to isolate in the they've just had to literally isolate in the Russian spacecraft, because at the moment they need to know where this leak's coming from for future stuff at the space station. Now, luckily, the space station is on its last legs, because the space station, I don't think, will stay for any longer now. I think it's on its last legs. And I reckon that the space station will retire in the next decade, or even less than that. And there is obviously the Japanese module, the US module, and the Russian module, the Russian segment, as they call it. Each country will be responsible for bringing down its own capsule or module, and so it's not going to be just literally, it's not going to be how much NASA is going to bring down. NASA's not going to bring down the whole thing. It's going to be each segment. Each country segment that they will have to bring down, they're responsible for their segment, and that means they bring it down themselves. And obviously the Russians are planning on keeping a space station running around the Earth, and so are China. Well, I mean, China are not even part of the International Space Station, but again, they have made their own space station because they are specifically just not allowed on the space station for, I believe, spying reasons. But again, at the moment, though, okay, there we go. There's the call that they have reached zero gravity. So yeah, a very good morning. There's nothing important on the stream right now, because they are literally just reading out questions people are sending on Twitter, and it's literally a view of the control center in Moscow. So that's why I specifically brought it off. So now what the crew can do now is they can maybe sleep for the next 2 hours. They've got only a specific time of rest where they can literally do anything within the spacecraft. And of course, they've got food on board that they're taking up, obviously, with the spacecraft. They are also taking up cargo, like food, to the space station. I know that obviously they've literally just had a cargo mission sent to the space station. But again, they are obviously doing that at the moment. But again, here is the replay of the launch. So this is a replay. Let me just note that. So this is a replay, not live. There we go. It's really, really good launch this morning. And of course, it's already day. I mean, the Russians like to launch when it's in their day, which is a nice thing of them. And probably this mission would have also been controlled by Houston. So that is just a replay of the launch that happened today, obviously. Good launch. Soyuz is now safely in space, and at the moment, so this is a replay and it's not live for those who have literally just joined. Again, this is just a launch that obviously is happening. But yeah. So guys, I'll sort of wait for this replay to sort of just play, and I think maybe we might just get the final call, just a confirmation from those, from maybe crew from the actual spacecraft, or just those in Mission Control Houston or Mission Control Moscow. And I think I will wrap the stream up because there's nothing important going on soon. There's nothing important. It is literally nothing happening. It is going to be literally the crew on board, literally going to be doing just run checks before docking, and maybe having something to eat, because there is a toilet on board the spacecraft, which is very amazing. And there is sort of a small upper deck of this Soyuz spacecraft, and that is where obviously the crew obviously has a toilet, and some of the cargo purposes. So they are allowed out of their seats. I don't know whether they are allowed out their suits. I'd imagine they probably are allowed out their suits for about a couple of hours, and then get back in them an hour prior to docking to the space station. But mainly, again, normally the spacecraft obviously have to put the suits back on. But yeah. So yeah, it's been a very, very good launch this morning. So if those are joining in, you may be asking, why is a replay not live text on the actual stream? And that is because the clip that's playing right now is a replay of the launch that happened 10 minutes ago. Well, coming up to about 40 minutes. No. About we're talking 25 minutes ago. So this is a replay of the launch that happened 25 minutes ago of the Expedition 64 crew. They launched in the International Space Station this morning. So obviously the launch that happened 25 minutes ago was the launch of NASA astronaut Kate Rubins and cosmonauts Sergei Ryzhikov and Sergei Servlikov to the International Space Station on board Soyuz MS-16 or MS-17, and later to be joined by Crew 1 of SpaceX Crew Dragon. This has obviously been delayed now because, of course, Crew Dragon obviously being delayed for the launch. This is because there's a problem with the SpaceX's 1D engine, which was also seen on a SATCOM mission that happened at least a month ago or a couple of weeks ago, when obviously SpaceX had that really bad week of not being able to get a rocket into space and off the ground. So guys, I think that sort of wraps up the stream today. Thank you very much for watching, because I think there's nothing more to see. There is nothing more to see, to be honest. Literally all they're doing now is they are literally only seeing they're literally only just seeing that. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you ever so much for watching the stream today. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And of course, if you do want to stay up to date with some of that stuff, NASA TV is the place to go, because they will be streaming constantly of the docking that will be happening in a couple of hours time. So about 4 hours time. So that's probably roughly 9 o'clock GMT time. So thank you ever so much for watching today's stream, guys. I hope you obviously have a fantastic rest of your day, and until then, guys, thank you very much. Stay safe, and I'll speak to you soon.